I try to not walk, not talk. Nothing celebration. Nothing parties. Very serious business. I'm sending a message to you. Don't take it easy now. Did you understand that? Are you happy?
Meaning the message.
Oh, that's already happening. But you understand my English. What do you mean? Nice to meet you. Just understand my message.
My name is Fadi Wakan. I'm from Palestine. My grandfather, my grandmother, they were born in Palestine, but in 1948 they moved to Syria because of a war. So I was born in Syria. But my grandparents, they lived a long time in Palestine. So I feel like everything inside of me, everything that flows through me is from Palestine. It's like I have two hearts. One is from Palestine and one is from Syria. People ask me and I say, well, I'm from Palestine, but I live in Syria. And I live in a dangerous neighborhood. You go out, you don't know if you're gonna come back. Once I told my sister, if I come back, you're gonna fix zucchini and rice. And if I don't come back, well, you can cook whatever you want. It's okay. We're used to it. It's normal. Look, if I die, I die. I'm dead. I just don't want to come home missing a body part. It's very difficult to explain how it started. It's like a drip. A drip. You're at home, everything is just normal, you're at home, and then one day, the food becomes expensive, and then police, checkpoints, everywhere, checkpoints, and then people start leaving. And then the bombs, explosions, my brother leaves. He goes to Morocco, he's in Africa for a year, and now he's in Munich. And one day I go out and I think there's no theater, there's no dance, there's no nothing. I can't work, I have to work, how will I eat? How am I gonna pay for food? Anything. And I come home, and my home, it's damaged. And my family, they told me what had happened. The bombs came. And my father, he said, we're gonna go to Egypt. Everybody, we're gonna get visas. We're gonna go to Egypt. And I try to get a visa, I don't get a visa. I go to the embassy in Syria. And I think it has something to do with the war. So I tell my father, you go to Egypt, and I'll be there in a couple of weeks. And then a year goes by, 2 years go by. 2 years go by, and I think I gotta get myself smuggled into Turkey. So I hire this man for $200. My friend had paid him $100 before to drive him, but it's a 7-hour drive. So I'm in the car, and all I have is a little bag, some rehearsal clothes, some dance shoes. I don't even have a toothbrush. I don't have any photos because my home is destroyed. Everything's on my phone. And then scattered little towns all day. And then checkpoints, checkpoint after checkpoint. And I think they're gonna put me in the military. They're gonna chop my head off. But I make it. I make it all the way to Aleppo, and then I'm in a bus. I'm in this bus with 10 people, 10 men, 5 women, and we go through all these checkpoints, and then when I get there, there's people everywhere, and everyone's looking for something. And I turn to this guy and I say, look, the nearest Turkish town is 7 kilometers away. Which way do I go? And he says, well, you could go this way. I think he's from ISIS. He says he's not from ISIS, but I think he is. So I start walking, and after 2 kilometers, I'm still walking, and then I see the border police. And the border police, they see us, and then they say, hey, you people from Syria, you go back. You go back. We're not letting you into Turkey. So I start running. I'm running, and then I look, and I see the police. They're running after me, and then everybody, they're just running and running and running and running. And when the Dutch came here in the 1700s, they brought bread dough, D-O-U-G-H, and they could drop little balls of bread dough the size of a walnut into the deep fat. It was a very tasty thing at that time. But they noticed that outside on this bread dough, it cooked much faster than the inside. So someone said, okay, I'm going to put a hole in the middle. It'll cook much faster. And then in the 1920s, they thought, hey, I can make a machine. Machine will make this. And people didn't come for the donuts. They came to watch the machine make the donuts. And then a man had a bright idea. I can't spell D-O-U-G-H-N-U-T-S. I'm going to shorten it. I'm going to call it D-O-N-U-T-S, donuts. And I'm going to call it Dunkin' Donuts. This is a silly idea. Who's going to watch 2 men have a conversation for 2 hours on a film? But actually, it was a very successful conversation was a tension between comfort and a tension between adventure. Comfort, it makes you very comfortable. You get a little relaxed as a human. You become less human. But if you have an adventure, that adventure is the real experience. That's when you really experience being a human. And it also suggests the most radical thing you can do as two human beings is to sit down and have a conversation and talk about what it means to be a human being. The most radical thing you can do as two people is to sit down, have a conversation, and talk about what it means to be a human being. Movie, My Dinner with Andre. It's a real conversation between two live artists. My Dinner with Morgan at Remedy Diner. That's Morgan Jeunesse, who's a famous, well-known dramaturg at the Public Theater. And Yoshiko and Morgan had conversations. They were going to work together. But Morgan died November 12th, 2024. But the conversation continues. The conversation can continue even after death. I think AI is going to replace machine code. Machine code is a way for us to talk to machines, to give instructions. Telling the machine what to do. Telling the machine what to do. So the very that's a little 8 lines across and 12 little rows. And you can punch little holes. There's punch cards to tell the machine what to do, what to calculate. It was very popular at the turn of the century. The U.S. government hired them. They hired them to do a census taking with punch cards. And this company became so successful, they were CTR, Computational Tabulation Recording Company. Computational Tabulation Recording Company hired Thomas J. Watson from NCR, National Cash Register Company. And Thomas J. Watson, a super salesman, he talked to this company and he said, we're going to call IBF, International Business Machines. International Business Machines. In order to be international, they had to create subsidiaries in countries around the world. There is a subsidiary in Germany. In the 1930s, the Nazi regime came to IBM Germany and said, we would like to use your punch card machine because we need to count people. What we didn't realize, they were going to count people for a different reason, because they wanted to round up people. They wanted to move people. They wanted to put people in a special place. And when those, after the war, and after the camps were closed, those IBM machines were still there. And IBM said, well, we didn't know. But that's what everybody said. We didn't know. And after the punch cards, there were tubes. And after these tubes, there was a transistor. And the transistor, you could assemble the transistor into a thinking machine. And this thinking machine, IBM, in 2013, they were on a game show with this new thinking machine called Watson. And this game show was a conversation with the machine. And this machine, it won the show in a live episode of Jeopardy. So this is an example of us now having conversations with machine. So it's always about us giving instructions to a machine, telling the machine what to do. But with conversation, that means the machine may ask us to understand them. The American Diner. The American Diner began with a horse-drawn cart. You put a kitchen on the back of a horse-drawn cart, and you could take it around to all the factories at the turn of the century. Because when people got out of the factories, they needed a place.
So I try 5 minutes. Okay, you do all KOT. You can go anywhere. So maybe do you have a timer? So you go and the 5 minutes and you have to go to finish. So I cannot do more dance. I'm 75 years old. But Patricia booked as a solo. So I brought an orchestra. Thank you so much, and I'm not going to say anything, but just thank you so much. William Parker, Patricia Nicholson Parker, they are a couple. I know them 30 years ago. Don't forget that. Two of the name. William Parker is a bassist. Patricia Nicholson Parker is choreographer and the incredible dancer. So my relation is you and me. And I really say, thank you. Any reason you came here, and then this t-shirt, how much you selling this one? Hey, you selling right this one? How much is it?
The t-shirts are 30.
Huh?
30.
$30. Buy it. Buy it. They need the money. Buy. Do you know I get a piece of sweat to this one? You don't mind? Sorry. No, I should not sweat. Okay, so you got that? Okay. And 5 minutes. Whatever you want. Chaotic. Fast. Propaganda. YouTube. Go.
American diner. And he pulled up the horse-drawn cart. On the horse-drawn cart was a kitchen. So when everyone got out of the factory after their long shift from punching in, punching out, they had a place to eat. This man, he decided one day, I'm not going to use the horses anymore. I'm just going to leave the cart here. And then someone in the factory said, we could build many of these carts. We could put these carts outside of all factories. And there were trains, dining cars on trains, and the dining cars had special kind of seating and counters. They thought, well, we could mix this train dining car with a train wagon, and we'll build them. And we'll build them and we'll ship them all over the country. And then the 1930s came and there was Art Deco. And Art Deco said, well, this is the future. This is the future of design. It's looking forward, it's shiny, it's red, it's sleek, and we can make our dining cars look Art Deco. So we still today, we have these Art Deco diners. And in these Art Deco diners, trace back. And this IBM, it won the Jeopardy. And from punch cards, they changed to tubes. They changed to network, a little transistor, and created a thinking machine. And this thinking machine, it was on Jeopardy, 1984. In 1980, and this machine on live Jeopardy, it won. And it suggested that, well, if you can give instructions through conversation, maybe you should listen to us. In 1986, there was a gallery 128. Kazuko Miyamoto, she opened this gallery 128. It was a very depressed area, but the rent was only $2 a month. She came from Japan in 1964, and she worked in cafes, she worked in restaurants, and she met many artists, and especially minimal artists. That interested her. She met Sol Lewitt. Sol Lewitt hired her for his first assistant. She helped him make his wall drawings. She helped him make his structures. And these wall drawings, Sol Lewitt, he came from Hartford, Connecticut. His first job was to work with IMP. IMP impressed him very much because IMP said, I'm an architect, but I don't start by building a building. I don't go out and start digging. I have to think. I have to design. And Sol Lewitt, he had been in the war. World War II. He went to go to Europe. He saw all the masters. And then he was in the Korean War. He got to Japan, and he realized, oh, the idea is just as important as the product. So when he came back, he started writing his ideas down on these walls, and on these walls were like recipes to make art. And sometimes the recipe said, well, you should scratch the art out. You should start over again. You should burn the art. You should paint over the art. You should just destroy the art. And often these things were written instructions on the walls, and then after the exhibition, they were painted over. And many of these recipes still exist. And so people in the world today say someone, somewhere, is making a Sol Lewitt piece of art. Kazuko Miyamoto, her work is like patent strings attached to little dots in space. And when you look at it, you can't really see what it is. Similar to Sol Lewitt. Sol Lewitt has cubes, little cubes. You could arrange these cubes and you could look through the cubes and you get like a jungle gym for the mind. You didn't know what it was. You didn't know where you were. You didn't know where it started. You didn't know where it ended. Same with Kazuko Miyamoto. You didn't know, is this a drawing? Is this a shape? Is it a sculpture? Kazuko Miyamoto in her exhibitions, she called them jam sessions. She felt it was important to bring together both the famous, the not famous. Famous, well, she brought Sol Lewitt. Famous, there was a man, Peter Ulansky. He came from Poland. One day he walked into the gallery and he had an exhibition. Kazuko Miyamoto is very important to her to remain open.
Are you watching me? I have never been. I was born 1950. 1952 sort of, USA agreement. And then Japan became independent. Just to let you know that. So you're passing to border. I have been to Palestine done over the 15 years until 23. Okay? Okay? Yes. But you don't know what kind of experience I did. And I'm shouting. I'm shouting. Border. So making obstruction, artwork. But thank you coming, and then thank you again to all Vision Festival, very beautiful young people. Thank you so much. Yeah, Patricia and then William, maybe somewhere, maybe Canada somewhere. So it's an interesting time. Please don't just enjoy yourself in the art. Okay? Thank you for listening. And I want to introduce here Shoko Nagai. Swell. Hey, Timothy Buckley. Angelina, what your last name? Angelina?
Laguna.
Angelina?
Laguna.
Laguna. She's 24 years old, right? 24 years old, right? Yeah. And then Yan San. How old are you? 25. And then my long-time relationships, and then her name is Catherine Ray. Come on. Yeah. How old are you? 17. Wow. I never said how old I am, but then recently I started saying how old I am. But you don't need to say, oh, you're looking good, I don't care that. No, it's not the point that I know something in the history. That's most important, When you make up in this, you're going to, on the stage, I looks good, right? So that's nothing really special for me. I'm just saying this situation, sorry, I have to finish. This situation is a sort of 1960, the war of the Vietnam. Okay? So I'm very looking for young people You should not care about the art history. You have to make yourself. Okay? You don't need anything. Make sense? Alright.